The Vietnam War was fought on the high seas and in the jungle mud. We're comparing the entire fleet, the carriers, battleships, and the riverine Zippos that defined the conflict. First up, aircraft carrier classes. Enterprise class. Nuclear power changed everything. This massive carrier could stay at sea indefinitely, launching non-stop sorties against targets deep in North Vietnam. Then, Kitty Hawk class. These served as the backbone of air operations. They provided a stable platform for heavy strikes, constantly pushing the limits of carrier-based aviation. Now this is the Forrestal class. Known as the first supercarriers, they were massive and powerful. Despite a tragic fire, they remained vital for projecting air power across the Gulf of Tonkin. Midway class. These ships were upgraded heavily to handle newer jet aircraft. Their long service life proved just how adaptable and rugged a design they really were. Now this is the Essex class. These veteran ships from a previous era still had plenty of fight left. They primarily focused on anti-submarine warfare and supporting coastal operations. Moving on to Battleship class, Iowa class. The thunder of 16-inch guns was unmistakable, bringing heavy bombardment back to the coast. These battleships struck fear into anyone within range of the shore. Now let's look at cruiser classes. Long Beach class, a unique nuclear-powered cruiser packed with advanced sensors. It acted as a high-tech guardian for the carrier groups, watching the skies with unmatched precision. Now this is the Leahy class. These double-ended missile cruisers were built for defense. They kept a watchful eye over the fleet, ready to intercept any airborne threats with their sophisticated missile systems. Bainbridge class. This was the world's first nuclear-powered destroyer leader. It offered incredible endurance, allowing it to keep pace with the nuclear carriers without ever needing to refuel. Belknap class. A versatile escort capable of handling multiple threats at once. With a mix of missiles and a large deck for helicopters, it was a vital part of the protective screen. Boston class. These were modified heavy cruisers that transitioned into the missile age. They provided a strange but effective mix of traditional big guns and modern surface-to-air missiles. Galveston class, converted from older hulls, these ships carried the massive Talos missile. They were specialized long-range defenders, keeping enemy aircraft far away from the heart of the fleet. Next, Providence class. Another set of converted cruisers that excelled at command and control. They served as floating headquarters, directing complex naval operations with ease. Des Moines class. These were the last of the all-gun heavy cruisers. Their rapid-fire 8-inch guns could rain down a staggering amount of steel on coastal targets in a very short time. Baltimore class, reliable and battle-hardened, these cruisers were perfect for naval gunfire support. They spent countless hours hammering enemy positions along the coastline. Cleveland class. Though smaller than their counterparts, they were incredibly active. Their fast-firing 6-inch guns made them a favorite for supporting troops on the ground. Continuing with destroyer and destroyer escort classes. Charles F. Adams class. These were the first destroyers designed from the ground up to carry guided missiles. They were sleek, fast, and highly capable in the air defense role. Then, Forrest Sherman class, the last of the gun destroyers. They were built for speed and agility. They performed everything from plane guard duty to intense shore bombardment. The next one, Gearing class, veterans of the Second World War that were modernized for a new conflict. They were the true workhorses of the destroyer fleet, seemingly everywhere at once. Allen M. Sumner class. With their twin gun mounts, they packed a significant punch for their size. They were essential for patrolling the waters and screening the larger ships. Fletcher class. These legendary ships were still going strong. Even in a new era of warfare, their reliable design and heavy gun armament remained useful for coastal mission. Farragut class. Designed as large destroyer leaders, they focused on protecting carriers from air attacks. Their powerful radars and missiles were a critical layer of defense. Mitchell class. These were experimental and massive for their time. While few in number, they tested new technologies that would define the future of naval escort ships. Classier class. These frigates were built with a focus on hunting submarines. Their quiet engines and advanced sonar made them a hidden threat beneath the waves. Brooke class. A specialized design that combined anti-submarine capabilities with guided missile. They offered a balanced defense for smaller convoys and task groups. Up next, Knox class. These ships featured a distinctive large bow sonar. They were dedicated escorts, built to endure the rough seas while keeping a sharp lookout for enemy subs. Ely class, small and agile. These were the first post-war ocean escorts. They were simple but effective, providing much-needed protection for slower support vessels. Next, Claude Jones class. Designed for easy mass production, they were straightforward and reliable. They handled the essential but unglamorous tasks of patrolling and escorting. Next up, amphibious warfare classes. Iwo Jima class. These were the first ships built specifically to carry helicopters for amphibious assaults. They changed the way the Marines landed, moving from the sea to the sky. Then, Raleigh class, an early type of amphibious transport dock. They could carry troops, equipment, and landing craft all in one versatile hull, simplifying complex landing. Austin class, an evolution in amphibious warfare, featuring a large docking well. This allowed them to launch landing craft directly from the sea, speeding up the transition to land. Homestead class. These dock landing ships were essential for moving heavy equipment. They could flood their internal decks to let landing craft float right out the back. Anchorage class. Larger and more capable than their predecessors, they improved the efficiency of amphibious groups. They were vital for getting tanks and trucks onto the beach. Now this is the Terrebonne Parish class. These classic tank landing ships could drive right onto the shore. They were the primary means of delivering heavy armor directly to the front lines. DeSoto County class, a refined version of the tank landing ship, offering better speed and capacity. They were crucial for maintaining the flow of supplies during coastal operation. The next one, Newport class. These featured a unique bow ramp design to allow for higher speeds. They were a radical departure from tradition, getting troops to the beach faster than ever before. Next, Paul Revere class. Converted from commercial hulls, these transports carried large numbers of troops in relative comfort. They were the main buses for moving infantry across the Pacific. Let's move on to submarine classes. Lafayette class. These nuclear-powered giants carried ballistic missiles beneath the waves. They stayed hidden in the deep, providing a silent and powerful deterrent throughout the conflict. Then, Sturgeon class. These were the ultimate submarine hunters of their time. Fast, quiet, and incredibly well-armed, they prowled the depths looking for any sign of trouble. Next, Permit class. A revolutionary design that focused on deep diving and silent running. They set the standard for modern attack submarines with their advanced sonar and weapons. Up next, Skipjack class. The first to combine nuclear power with a high-speed teardrop hull. They were incredibly fast underwater, outperforming almost anything else in the sea. Gato class. These were elderly veterans of the Second World War. While dated, they were used for specialized missions and training during the early years of the war. Allow class. Another group of aging warriors that still found work. They were rugged and dependable, serving in secondary roles as the fleet transitioned to nuclear power. Now this is the Tench class. These were the last of the classic diesel boats. They represented the peak of pre-nuclear technology, proving their worth in coastal surveillance and patrol. Next on the list is auxiliary and support classes. Haven class. These hospital ships were angels of mercy on the water. They provided top-tier medical care to the wounded, saving countless lives right off the coast. Mars class. These massive supply ships kept the fleet moving. They could transfer everything from food to fuel while moving at high speeds in the middle of the ocean. Sacramento class. These were the largest combat support ships ever built. They combined the roles of a tanker and a supply ship, acting as a one-stop shop for the task force. Then, Suribachi class, specialized in carrying ammunition. These ships were vital for keeping the guns firing. They handled dangerous cargo with precision under difficult conditions. Nitro class. Another class of ammunition ships that ensured the fleet never ran dry. They were the literal lifeblood of the heavy hitters off the coast of Vietnam. Mispillion class. These tankers were lengthened to carry even more fuel. They were the gas stations of the sea, allowing the fleet to stay on station for months at a time. Now this is the Neosho class, modern and efficient fleet oilers. They were designed for fast replenishment, getting fuel to the carriers and destroyers as quickly as possible. Now let's look at mine warfare classes. Aggressive class. These minesweepers had wooden hulls to avoid magnetic triggers. They performed the dangerous task of clearing coastal waters so larger ships could pass safely. Acme class. Built for the delicate work of clearing mines. These ships were small but essential. They ensured that harbors and shipping lanes remained open and safe. Adjutant class. These were smaller coastal minesweepers. They worked close to the shore, meticulously searching for underwater explosives in the shallow river mouths. Falcon class. another dedicated mine hunter designed for coastal work. Their specialized equipment was crucial for protecting the many transport ships moving through the region. To wrap things up, patrol and riverine boat classes, PBR Mark I. These PBR riverboats were fast and agile. They patrolled the narrow waterways of the Mekong Delta, engaging in fierce, close-quarters combat. The next one, PCF Mark I. These PCF swift boats were designed for coastal patrols. They were fast and heavily armed, perfect for stopping the flow of supplies to enemy forces. PCF Mark II, a more refined version of the swift boat with better visibility and crew comfort. They spent long hours patrolling the choppy waters of the South China Sea, Ashfield class. These large patrol gunboats used gas turbine engines for incredible bursts of speed. They were designed to catch anything else on the water, Nasty class. These were fast patrol boats bought from Norway. They were incredibly quick and used for covert operations and lightning-fast raids along the northern coast, Osprey class. These were experimental hydrofoil boats. They literally lifted out of the water to reach high speeds, testing new ways to dominate the coastal environment. Up next, LCM-6 Monitor. This was a heavily armored river battleship. Based on the LCM-6 landing craft, it carried heavy guns and mortars to provide direct support in the Delta. LCM-6 Zippo, a terrifying variant of the riverboat equipped with flamethrowers. It was used to clear thick brush and enemy bunkers along the muddy riverbanks.